Hi students, how are you? Myself Deepa, Assistant Professor, Department of Management, Soundarya Institute of Management and Science. In this video, let us know about the Chapter 5 Report Writing from the subject Business Research Methods. From this slide, you are able to answer the questions such as features of good report, content of report, steps in report writing, what is bibliography. Let us go with this slide. First is features of good report. A good research report should focus on the purpose of the study and the type of audience. You all know that the report should focus on the purpose, that is why the research is conducted and who are the targeted audience. Based on that, the report should be written. Next, it should also have clarity. It should be clear in all the sense like appearance, font size, spacing, etc. Overall, it should be clear and understandable for the reader. The report should be free from technical or statistical jargons, and the same is addressed to audience who may not understand. Here, if the reporter use difficult and technical words, it will be difficult to understand by the reader. So, he has to take care that he should not use such difficult words in the report. Avoid grammatical mistakes. Obviously, when it is a good report, there should not be any grammatical mistakes. Assumption made by the researcher should be clearly spelled out. Assumption or the objects made by the researcher should be clearly mentioned. Otherwise, it will not become a good report or a good research. Operational definition of words used with specific meaning should be given in the beginning of the reports. As the audience feel difficult in understanding the concept, the reporter has to explain the operational definitions. What are the operational definition? The technical words or the scientific meaning. Everything should be explained before the report. Then based on that, the audience or the reader will understand the concepts very clear. The report should be organized in a meaningful manner so as to enable smooth flow of information. It should be executed in a meaningful manner, sequentially arranged. Otherwise, there will be no connectivity with each other. The report should adhere the guidance specified regarding the format, etc., and should be prepared with the schedule provided. Everything has a time limit. The report should be according to the format given, and also it should be prepared within a schedule period. Otherwise, when they are running out of the schedule, then it will not become a best report. Next is content of report. Sorry students, I have not mentioned that contents. This is content of reports. What will be there in the report? The first is preliminary section or the preliminary page. What will be there? It will be containing like title page, acknowledgements if any, then table of contents and what will be there in your research report, and list of the tables and the table of list of the figures or graphs and the abstracts. Next is introduction. What will be there in introduction? Introduction will come under the main body of the report. Under introduction, like statement of the problem, why the research is conducted and what is important of the problem, what is the purpose of doing this research, and statement of hypothesis, and what are the limitation of the doing this project. Like I can tell like it is a time constraints and lack of money, and it will be not generalizable. These are the limitations of this study. Next is methodology. What is methodology? Methodology means what are the different sample procedures and methods of instruments of data gathering and statistical treatment, and which technique they are used for the interpretation, statistical analysis and interpretation. Next is findings. As you know that the finding is, it will come under the final chapter, that the findings, what the finding has been done by the researcher, the same will be entered by the report writer. And limitations, what I told earlier, the limitations means the time constraints, because there will be a time schedule, as in a previous slide I explained you that there will be time schedule given by the someone. If we cannot say that any like if it is from the institution side, like it will be like 1 month, as the people of your seniors will be doing internship, and other PG students, they will be doing for 3 years, and for the other graduations or post graduations or the doctor holder, they will be having 3 years or 5 years of maximum doing of the time constraints, and there will be a time limit of doing the research. This is for academic I am telling, but in different aspect there will be a different time schedule. These are all the limitations, and the sample size collected, we cannot generalize it, we cannot convey this is to all, because the sample size is limited. This is all the thing we can consider for the limitations. Next is summary and conclusion. As usual, summary and conclusion is overall concept of the report will be there in summary, and the conclusion will be given based on the findings, and there are some suggestions, and the based on the findings, the suggestions will be given, by that the conclusion will be drawn. Next is recommendation. What is recommendation? Recommendation for the future investigation. If I am doing, like for example, if I am only conducting some other research, if I am reading your report, then you will be giving some suggestions or recommendations for me by reading the report. That is called as recommendation for future investigations. Next is report writing steps. What are the steps to be taken in writing the report? There are several steps will be conducted while writing a report. The first one is logical analysis of the subject matter. What is logical analysis of subject matter? It is basically concerned with the cognitive development of subject. Such a development has two aspects, namely logical and chronological. First, for the first, reporter should target audience, overall the audience. Based on the audience, he has to write a report. And how it should be sequentially arranged. He has to see that what is the sequence. If it is not in a chronological or all the sequential order, then everything goes wrong, because there will be no continuity. Next is prepare final outline. What is preparing final outline? After logical analysis, the reporter has to stress on the topic which is to be conveyed, or most important, the important aspect to be stressed more, so that the reporter should give more importance on or stressing on the particular topic which is important for the audience or the readers. Next is prepare the rough draft. What is preparing rough draft? Based on the first 2 points, that is logical analysis of the subject matter and the prepare final outline, based on that points he has to prepare rough draft. Based on keeping in mind, he has to prepare one rough draft. Next is refining the rough draft. What does refining means? The reporter has to mention the details of the data. The rough draft means correct the rough draft if there is any mistake. If there is any mistake, he has to correct it. Refining means like doing something good for that. You are refining. Next is preparing the final bibliography. What is final bibliography means? Bibliography means the reporter has to mention the details of the collected data, like from the books or from the magazines, from the newspapers, and from the internet source. From where he has collected, he has to mention every details, so that for the purpose of reference. If I am a writer, if I am criticized from some other person, then if I want to get rid of that, obviously I have to give some evidence. What is that evidence? Evidence is nothing but the reference given by the report writer. And next is writing the final draft. Finally, the draft will be ready. Final report has to be done. The reporter has to keep in mind that the information should not give any scope for any ambiguity. There should no confusions in the report. The reporter should write in such a manner that there should be no confusion in the mind of the reader. Every doubt should be cleared in the report. Next is typing the report. Obviously, it makes the report more professional if it is typed and submitted. So, it can be reached to mass reader when it is typed. Next is bibliography. What is bibliography? In last slide we have discussed that bibliography means it is like the magazines, newspaper, what are all the things which we have referred, it will come under bibliography. Research study needs consultations of the available literature, hence the researcher is to make open clarification of the source referred. This bibliography is basically divided into books, reports, periodicals, newspapers and all websites. As I told you earlier in last slide, if a researcher is criticized, then if he want to get rid of that criticize, he has to give some reference. The reference is nothing but where he has collected data. It can be from the books, it can be from the reports, it can be from the periodical or newspapers and also from the websites. A bibliography is a list of secondary source consulted with preparing the report. As usual, when you are taking the information from the websites or the newspapers or from the journals, it will become a secondary data because you have not primarily went and visited to the person. If you have not collected the information, it is someone's information you are taking or you are referring it. A bibliography is the listening of the work that is relevant on the main listing of the work that is relevant to the main topic of research interest, arranging in the alphabetical order of the names of the author. In a bibliography, you will be mentioning, when the bibliography is mentioned in the research or in the report, it will be mentioned in the alphabetical order with the author name and the publication details and with the page number, because if someone is referring, they have to get the adequate result. It includes detail of all citations used in the literature survey and elsewhere in the research report, arranging in the alphabetical order of the names of the author along with the page number. Here citation means a different sources which is taken by internet sources. From wherever we have collected, the citations should be entered. These citations are provided for the purpose of crediting the author and enabling the reader to find the work. Proper citation, style and format should be followed in providing reference. Here citation is provided to give a credit to the writer. Because we are referring from some other person, we have to give credit to such persons. For example, the bibliography will be like this. The author name will be there and the publication details will be there and which year it was published and the page number. This is the example for bibliography. By this, I will be ending my video. Thank you.